Hey everybody, and welcome to this video, which is about tips for attaching. So right here I have this little pinch pot shape that I'm going to attach to this pot. It's going to be like an eyeball, okay? This is specifically for like attaching things that are a little bit smaller. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place where I want it to go, okay? And then I like how it's sitting over here, so that's good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle tool or toothpick and I'm going to gently trace around where the edges of my attachment meet the pot. And the purpose for this is so that one, you remember where it needs to go, and two, you know exactly where you need to score and slip. All right, so I traced it. Now I'm going to score it. I only really need to score the rim or the outer edge of this. And I know I didn't mention this before, but this pot is leather hard. I talk about this more in my timing and drying video, but you would want to attach things to like this to a pot that's leather hard as opposed to a pot like this that has been freshly made and it's squishy. All right, so I'm scoring. Slipping. I like to slip with a paintbrush. You can do whatever you want. All right. Then I take this and I put it on top. Good. Now, traditionally, you would want to use a tool like this to do your blending, which this tool is probably not that bad for this. I'm just going to use the back of the spoon part and I'm going to gently press this in. But if this tool was a little bit too big for you, a really great option, especially for really small things that have little crevices, is this tool right here. It's made out of metal, and as you can see, it also has this little spoon area to it. I really like working with tools like this. I think sometimes they provide a little bit more control because they're more narrow, but I can blend with this as well. And if this were to have a straight edge on it, like say for instance I was attaching a handle, which I will be showing you after, I can also use my needle tool to blend the clay like that. Just gonna remove that. I'm gonna go back to this tool because I think I like this one the most. And I'm gonna make sure that everything is nice and blended. All right. Then, as you can see, is that the eyeball shape is a little bit malformed, we'll say. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna take a paintbrush like this. I'm gonna dip it in some water. I'm gonna make it so that it's just damp. I'm gonna like squeeze some of the water out of there. And then what I can do is take my paintbrush and I can really gently go around the areas that I blended and that little divot on the eyeball. And some of these areas I'm adding a lot of pressure, and I'm watching out for friction. So friction is how easily something can glide across. So this has a lot of friction right now. I'm really struggling to glide this paintbrush across, which is kind of good for what I'm trying to do right now, which is just to reshape this. But then if I want to smooth it out, I can add some more water and gently go over this. Now, this was a pinch pot that I attached to this. Can you guess what I need to do before I would leave this alone? If you guessed put a hole in it, you are absolutely correct. But I'm not gonna do that in this video because I need to do that in another one. But yeah, you would absolutely wanna put a hole in this because there is a little pocket of air inside of here. As you can see, I'm starting to add an eyelid to this. And kind of like what I was saying earlier is that for maybe like for small things like this tool would be absolutely optimal. As you can see, see, I am blending it out here. And then I also have this little gap where the eyelid meets the eyeball. I also need to attach that. And this tool is actually really perfect for that. So, because if I were to try to use this tool, it's way too bulky. I'm gonna mess it up. So, like I said, this is the perfect tool for that. So I'm just gonna gently drag like this. And then, like I was showing you before, is you can take a damp paintbrush and reshape the clay how you need it to be. Water to that. All right, let me have the top of the eyeball now. Oh shoot, I forgot to blend this side. Now let me have the top of the eyelid. Slip this up. As you can see, I did trace where I was going to put the eyeball, or the eyelid, I should say. Gently patting it with my finger. And then again, I'm gonna take this tool, probably for the outside, this tool is fine. Ooh, the air pockets. Gotta make sure I squish those out. Ah, it's cracking. I actually don't mind the way that it looks when it's cracking for this instance. Reshape this. All right, and then again for the inner side, I'm going to use the smaller tool, just really gently push this how I need it to be. I want that little gap, so I'm like really pressing with the paintbrush here. Try to seal this gap, just crack a little bit more. I'm gonna dig this out. This was a little too thick, so I cut it. Okay. Great. And then I could just redraw the iris and all of that. So right here I have something that I'm going to turn into a handle. Now, most people, when they go to attach handles, kind of just stick it on and leave it like this. I know that this is like obnoxiously big, okay? But there is a strategic way to attach handles, or really to attach anything that's coming off your clay, because unless something is coming straight out, you never want to just take a blunt edge of clay like this and attach it, okay? So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to wet this up a little bit. I'm gonna curve it to how I want. See how that's like a blunt edge? I don't need this much clay, so I'm gonna cut some of it off. I could either use a needle tool to cut, or I could use the knife edge of this tool. But I'm just gonna cut some of this off. So I've got it straight. So in order to make a handle with these two straight edges, it would have to look something like this. However, if I want my hand to have, if I want my handle to have more of a nice curve to it, I need to do something that's called beveling, okay? So I basically kind of have the shape that I want my handle to go into. And basically what we're gonna do is, because this is a straight edge here, we need to cut a straight edge here. So it's not straight against the coil, it's straight against the pot. So I'm going to cut it there. And then I'm going to cut it here. So when you look at it, is that this is kind of on a diagonal. If I were to unravel the coil, this is a diagonal now. However, it's going to lay flat against the cup. So if I stick this here now, see how nice that looks? Oh, it's so cute. All right, so exactly how I worked with my eyeball, I'm going to decide where I want the handle to go. If I'm going to be drinking out of my right hand and I want the eyeball to face the viewer, I'm going to put it on this side. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Take my needle tool, trace where I need things to go. Move it, skewer it. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. Score the handle. And then smooth it. And attach it. Okay, so we got a lot of little narrow grooves here. So this would be a great time to use the needle tool, especially because some of these areas are flat. So I'm going to use the needle tool to flatten out this edge, this inner, ooh, whoops, poked a hole in it. Jeez. This inner part here. Top. Yeah. And I'm just blending all of those edges. And then when I'm done, you could even go the other way around where you use like a tool like this first. And then you can neaten it up with the needle tool. Oh my gosh, what are they doing next door? All right, and then just neaten it up with a damp paintbrush. Okay, and there you have it. That is how to attach.